Hey everybody, welcome to Resident Indigo channel. Alright you guys, this video is going to be a little bit informal. So grab yourself a cup of coffee and have a chit chat with me, even though I'll probably be doing most of the talking. But definitely leave a comment down below because I want to hear your thoughts, because I'm going to be talking about why I will no longer be watching Grey's Anatomy. And I definitely want to know, like, kind of your thought process and if you're considering leaving Grey's Anatomy, or maybe you're thinking of getting into this video. So before I start, I want to say that there will be a lot of spoilers. So definitely, if you want to avoid spoilers for Grey's Anatomy, stop watching this video, go do something else, maybe come back to this later. Maybe once you get to, like, I want to say, like, midway through season 16, and then we can have it, you can continue watching this video. But if you don't mind spoilers and you're already caught up and maybe having this own decision for yourself, stick around and have a sip with me. Alright, so the main reason that I'm not going to watch Grey's Anatomy is for Alex Karev. And I will be going more in-depthly about the whole Alex Karev thing, but let's just start off with when things started kind of, for me, Grey's Anatomy started going downhill. And no, it wasn't even when Derek left. When Christina and Derek left, those were such hard people to let go of in the show, being so prominent in Meredith's life, and just being such amazing characters and just everything. And also her, like, what it still hits me till this day is, of course, Christina got an amazing ending, by the way. I'm talking about, like, when Derek, and she's just like, I'm one of those people that's just so happy. Like, I saw my perfect husband in my perfect house with my perfect kids. And it's still a scene that I will still watch. I came into Grey's Anatomy right before Derek, like, after that scene. So, like, when I started watching it, like, every Thursday, when the show would premiere, was I believe season 12, so like after Derek's death. So that's when I started watching it. And and even then I was like, should I stop watching the show? But honestly, the way that the Grey's Anatomy writers handled that was amazing. They made Meredith go through depression, go through grief, the dating world again. It was just, I thought it was so well done, introducing pretty decent characters like Riggs. I loved Riggs when he first came on. I thought that was great. It was, I think, after Riggs that I honestly, if you really want my opinion, that I would just stop watching the show, just because it just doesn't get better. And if you're looking for a pretty decent, let's say, all right, fine, Riggs, you like Riggs, and if you want to see kind of a little bit more conclusive tying to ends, another great stopping point would be when Alex gets married to Joe. I thought that was a great way to also, Meredith ends up, like, going on a ferry boat, having ferry boats become Alex and Joe's thing. Great, beautiful. There you go. Another great ending. But let's say that's still not enough for me. There's still more loose ends that need to be tied up. You're still curious about other things. Fine. This is when Grey's Anatomy should have ended, and I love this ending, and it's the best ending. Season 16, episode 8. It's when Meredith is in trial for losing her medical license, for giving a kid, like, her insurance, like, committing pretty much insurance fraud. And that's when the doctor who killed Derek is there, or, like, well, not killed, but, like, had a pretty big role to play in his death, and then they end up killing him, and, like, she makes a speech. She's just like, and then also Alex makes a speech, his last words. He's like, reading these letters, having people write all these letters, and then her getting back her medical license, breaking up with DeLuca, because honestly, let's just talk about that for, like, a quick second. The fact that she was with DeLuca in the first place, I thought that was the worst possible thing you could possibly do ever. Okay? We go from McVet to McDreamy. I mean, technically McDreamy was first, but let's go with the McVet. McVet was so hot. He was Robin. He was so good looking. Yo, tell me you guys didn't want McVet. I still want him to come back somehow. Now, if McVet comes back, maybe I'll come back and watch Grey's Anatomy. But anyways, we go from to McDreamy, and then we go to that cute doctor guy that she ends up, like, having that, like, random one night stand with, and then never calling again. And then we go to Riggs. Oh, great hair, people, mature men. DeLuca was a boy, and I'm like, I don't know how you even were with him. Especially, let's talk about, because I think for me, because let's assume there were a bunch of scenes that we saw him being so whiny and everything that Meredith probably didn't see. I'm talking about the scene where he slept on her couch and cried and played horrible music, and even her kids were like, who is this bum? And some of your guys like, well, don't you think, like, everyone deserves, like, at some point, like, a meltdown? First of all, every single person in her life has somewhat got their crap together, doesn't do that crap. Who does that? He was so immature for her. The way he even like kind of ghosted Maggie. Yes, I'm not a big fan of Maggie either, but that's still beside the point. Like he really didn't treat her well, and then just to like do that with Meredith too, like start just like having like jealousy issues and just like having a superiority complex, like inferiority complex. I mean, it was just horrible. I never understood why the writers thought that was a good idea to put them together and why they thought like they would mesh well together. I really thought it was like the weirdest relationship. And I know that Meredith in 1,000 Years would never do that. I just couldn't buy the relationship. Not even a little bit. And now with McWidow, like I don't care that Christina sent him. I'm sorry. He looks so stupid. He pretty much looks like a different version of Owen in my opinion. And again, I haven't seen that many episodes with him. I've only seen a couple of clips and just his entrance pretty much. That was pretty much it. And so yeah. Yeah, I just don't buy that relationship either. I'm like, you know what? Bring back Riggs. Bring back Macbeth. You know, give me somebody better for her. You know, like honestly, weirdly enough, I think if they were to do this, like somehow and have her and Jackson end up together, I'd be okay with it. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that, but I think I could if they do it well, it could work out. There could be something there. So yeah. And I think by season 16, episode 8, there's not really a lot of questions about a lot of plot holes. I think if I remember correctly, the biggest plot hole at that moment is with Joe. And no, I think even by then we already know everything that happens to her and, you know, dealing with her mom and her past and her coming back and just coming back to the hospital and just dealing with that trauma. Like, I think at that point, I think the biggest question at that moment we have is with Amelia and Link and the baby and Owen and all that. I think that's where I pretty much left it. Also, yeah, I still don't know if the baby's Link's. Is it Link's? I don't know. I think I've read something about that. Anyways, but I stopped watching pretty much after that until, you know, they announced that Alex was leaving, you know. And so when they announced it, I was like, I want to see how they do this. You know, I'm like, and if they do a good job of making him a departing thing, you know, um, then I'll watch it. And first of all, I was about to start watching it until they announced the official episode because because I kept googling. I was like, how does he leave? How does he leave? Because I knew he wasn't recording any more episodes after that episode that they showed. So I was like, have they mentioned him? And then there was just like this whole like Joe not hearing from him. I was like, oh, Joe hasn't heard from him? Did you just pull a Derek where he dies also in a car accident or something like that? They should have just killed Alex off. They really should have. I mean, all that character growth that they gave Alex, and then they pulled this stunt, and they pretty much also ruined Joe. Because first of all, let's not forget the moment where Joe pretty much tells Alex, like, I'm gonna take your last name because I wanna have the last name of someone that loves me. And she was going around being called Dr. Karev. So let's say that Shonda Rhimes wanted to leave the door open for Alex to come back, you know, and I think that's what she's done. Everyone says that, you know, this is her way of leaving the door open in case, you know, he ever wants to come back and reprise his role as Alex. First of all, I actually think she shut that door even worse than killing him off, you know, because we could have pulled like a whole. I mean, if you don't watch, I mean, pretty much Grey's Anatomy is like it's just a telenovela. Honestly, we could have just brought Alex back to life, you know, have him forget his memory and come back. They might as well just do pull that stunt at this point, you know. Let's say not to kill him off. Here's what they should have done. They should have given Joe and Alex a long distance relationship. You know, have Alex go having to take care of his mom, having to take care of his sister Amber, having to take care of his other brother, I forgot what his brother's name is, and just deal with all of that drama, having to go back, having them have a long distance relationship, talking about a lot, because there's a lot of people, especially right now during COVID times. I mean, I know that this was written before COVID times, but still there was a lot of people who like had relationships with people overseas and just had long distance relationships just in general. They could have talked a lot about that, gone more in depthly into that, dealing with how hard it was, you know, and just focus Joe mostly on her career. Does she really need a love interest like that? No, of course not. Hey, maybe she was even having to deal with almost feeling like she's a single mother, you know, and then like because, you know, she gets pregnant, well, like Alex is still back at home and she's debating, should I go with him, you know, all this, like they could have done all of this stuff, you know, maybe even have her like jump between ships between Station 19, you know, kind of how Warren was doing, you know, done all of this, but instead they ruin him by making him go back to Izzy. Like, first of all, he already had the perfect, he was like, you know, in my head she has like a messy house and it's always Christmas and has a bunch of kids, and you guys couldn't leave that. You couldn't even leave Izzy alone. Like honestly, she treated him like crap, and he even admits that. He's like, I deserve better. And that's another thing. I'm like, Alex for the longest time was like, felt like he was chasing Izzy and wasn't worthy of Izzy. And then he's like, you know what? I actually deserve more than you. And that was so hard for him because he always felt like crap in his life. So then to make him go back to Izzy and then have an unhappy relationship, because you guys honestly think that with her lying to him and hiding the kids from him, and then you think they would be happy? No, they're probably like fighting all the time. And he just feels like this huge responsibility, and he's probably still in love with Joe. And honestly, I saw that one clip, or not that one clip, it's like a TikTok audio now, where like she's just like, I will become better, and all because of the way he loved me, and I will something. And I'm just like, honestly, it just makes me so upset when the way that they ended up ruining Alex's character. When I saw that episode, and he didn't even say goodbye to Meredith. Let's also talk about that. I don't think he would say goodbye. He would not say goodbye to Meredith. Like, he was the last her person, like when Christina left and she was like, I can be, and he's like, my person, and he's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, but you do. Like, let's not forget that scene either. And so when he pulls that stunt and not even says goodbye to her, yes, I know we had his voice, but I'm like, really? You couldn't even do like a small guest appearance, say goodbye to Meredith? I really hated all of that. I really did. I just don't think that Meredith deserved that goodbye. I don't think that Bailey deserved that goodbye. I don't think that Richard deserved that goodbye either, because first of all, wasn't Alex like the chief of surgery at another hospital? So what's gonna happen with that? Like, I don't even know what happened to that. And I think Rich is coming back to Grace Sloan Memorial, so I'm like, we're just gonna completely ignore all of that good stuff and ignore that and just forget the fact that Alex is not. Also, I really like him as chief of surgery. Like, I don't like Bailey as chief of surgery. I think she's really annoying. That's another reason why I'm not watching. Honestly, I just hate Bailey as chief. I loved Alex as chief. Alex as chief was doing good. I thought you know what? I actually love that idea. So, yeah. I think at this point, the Grey's Anatomy writers, they're just coming. Also, I don't really care about what's happening with anybody else. Like I said, I don't care about Amelia. Maggie, at that point, I think she was just resentful towards Jackson about their breakup, which I'm just like, girl, you too much, okay? And then Jackson, what's he doing now? I think he's like dating somebody else at this moment. So I'm like, I don't care either. And everyone else was fine, essentially, except for Joe. And I'm just like, you guys are just gonna give her some random idiot to fall in love with. And at this point, no one's gonna be as good as Alex, because honestly, he had so much growth, and y'all just destroyed it in 3.2 seconds. And I just can't believe that they did that. And yeah. I'm not gonna watch the show anymore because of that. I just hated the way they've screwed up Alex, and at this point, I just don't think that there's any more growth, even for Meredith to have. And so there's even rumors that this might actually be the last season. I mean, we've been having that rumor, I think, for the last 2 to 3 seasons, but in my opinion, the Grey's Anatomy has officially ended season 16, episode 8, and who's with me? Anyone else agree? Leave a like, give a thumbs up or something, because I know I'm not the only one who thinks that